because we all like money. That's why y'all are trying to learn IT in the first place, right? So we got my man's here. He goes by the name of Blunts and Beats. Blunts and Beats. I wonder what he's doing in his off time. My man says, I had a 24/7 help desk position, but I didn't gain a lot of experience other than monitoring SIEM, triaging and creating tickets, installing patches and updating Office PCs for clients. Then he says, and they laid me off last December. Well, that's really the only experience that I have aside from working on the Google cybersecurity certificate and completing job simulation learning modules, along with my customer service experience. He says, can I leverage this experience for another position, or do I need more experience? But shout out to Blunts and Beats, right? So he had a job working help desk, got laid off, and he wants to know, is that enough experience for him to utilize that to get another job? So this is what I tell my students all the time. All of my students that I deal with online are some of the ones that I deal with offline, or whatever the case may be. Normally, when I talk to people about getting into IT, I always use the example of getting started at the help desk. And the reason why I do that is not to say that that is the only place you can start. In my opinion, that is the easiest way to transition into IT, is through the help desk. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to go through the help desk. You can bypass the help desk to where you might be able to qualify for jobs like a system administrator, depending upon what path and tech you want to go, some type of junior network engineer, or whatever random crazy title that they have out there. So let's talk about this help desk job. So my man's here says he got a help desk job, got laid off, but he has experience monitoring SIEM. That's security. What is that? Security event information management. Basically, he's dealing with some cybersecurity type of stuff right there. Triaging, creating tickets, basically just going out there, dealing with trouble tickets and all that stuff, installing patches, updating Office PCs for clients. He got laid off. He's been working on his Google cybersecurity certificate and doing some on-the-job learning modules. He wants to know if he could leverage that as experience. So yes, you can leverage that as experience. So like I said, getting back to what I was talking about when I tell students about the help desk, I always use help desk as just an example. That's not to say that everybody's going to start at the help desk. No, that's not it. It's just the easiest example for me to kind of paint the picture of where I'm trying to get these people to see the vision as far as their tech career is concerned. So even if you do get a job starting off at the help desk, you're running around plugging in network cables, resetting username and passwords, setting up video display monitor, whatever the heck they have you doing these days, right? All of that can be used as experience to help you get another position. And one of the things you guys got to do when you guys go get a job, working in tech, whatever, especially if you're like a young person and you're just now starting your career, whatever the case may be, you need to get a notebook of some sorts, whether digital or physical, and actually start writing down the things that you do on a daily basis. That's what you need to do. When I was in the Army, y'all know I was active duty in the military for 13 years. We used to carry around these little green books. I used to have it in my cargo pants or whatever. And, we just have a bunch of notes or whatever the case that was written up in there. But what I used to do with my book, I used to write down every single thing that I did, because what it was at the end of the year, whatever the case may be, we used to have to do what is called an NCOER, a non-commissioned officer evaluation report. This was basically a report stating whether or not I can get promoted or whatever the case may be, or I can go up for a promotion. Well, oftentimes your boss is supposed to write your NCOER. But in my chain of command, I had a bunch of NCOs that didn't want to write my NCOER because they may have had like 10, 20 other people that they had to deal with. So I learned early on in my military career, I had to start writing my own NCOER. And the only way I could really write my NCOER is when I had to go through my little notebook and look at all of my notes and figure out, what did I do in this month? Back in April of 2023, I went to the weapons range. I helped train X amount of soldiers to get them, teach them basic rifle marksmanship. And I had X amount qualified on the weapons range, yada, yada, yada. The following month, I took the APFT, the Army Physical Fitness Test, and I scored this. So basically, I had to have all this stuff written down in my book. So when it was time for me to do my NCOER, my evaluation report, I could just go in there and extract that information from the book and start click-clacking and typing away and putting in all these bullet points of everything that I did. And then I would send that up to the chain to my senior, whoever that was, whether it was an E6, E7, or E8 or whatever, give it it to them. They would look over it, make annotations and corrections, send it back to me. I'd fix the stuff, and then we send it on up. And hopefully that was enough for me to get promoted or get looked at for promotion or whatever the case may be. This is what you guys should do with your career as well, even if you are starting off at the help desk, because my man's here. He says he's worked at a help desk 24/7, and it doesn't seem like he realizes all of the things that he may have gotten experience in that he can utilize to help him get another position that might offer him more money because of all the things he's been exposed to and all the systems and things of that he's been trained on. So he's in here talking about monitoring scene, triaging, creating tickets, installing patches, updating office PCs for clients. All of that stuff is stuff that can be documented and annotated on your resume. There's ways you can dress it up and word it up. Obviously, we're not going to go into that in this video because I will be here forever. And I actually got a class I got to teach at 7:00 p.m. So obviously I'm not going to go through all of that. But there are things that you can take all of that little bit of information and you can actually dress that up into bullet points of sorts to demonstrate on your resume. Yeah, you have experience doing this, yada, yada, yada. And then you get with somebody who knows how to write resumes professionally, whether it's somebody that you know or it's a service that you got to pay. And there are ways that they can dress that up to make it look fly and fancy. And one example I always give of how to do that, right? I always like to give this example. I tell people, if your job was to go out there and change light bulbs, like how would you dress that up on a resume to make it seem like your job was more fly or more sophisticated than what it actually was of you of changing light bulbs? And so I tell people, well, what you can do, how you can reword that on a resume. Like I say, let's just say you went out there and you installed 50 light bulbs. One way that you can make that sound more fly and more extravagant than what you did is just by changing it up. You could change it up to saying you successfully installed 50 illumination systems, because a light bulb is an illumination system. So instead of you just saying light bulb, maybe you can find ways to substitute synonyms and all that stuff in there to make it seem fly and fancy so that hopefully, your resume kind of stands out. To my man Blunts and Beats here. Yes, depending upon I don't even know how long you've been working at that job. You could have been working there 3 months, 6 months, a year. I don't know. But based off of what you left in this comment here, it seems like you do have enough experience to where you can leverage that into another job and possibly a higher position, which possibly comes with more money. Because we all like money. That's why y'all are trying to learn IT in the first place, right? So yes, you can. Just go through. If you got some type of evaluation reports, I mean, I don't know how they do it at whatever company you were working at, or if you wrote all this stuff down, or even if you didn't, just go through your brain and start trying to recall every single thing you did, every system that you actually touched and manipulated to do whatever, whether you were dealing with ServiceNow, you were dealing with Remedy, you were dealing with Jira, whatever it is that you were doing, all the various operating systems you installed, how many of them did you install over the course of your employment at that company? Get all that information out your brain if you don't have it written down somewhere, and write it down or put it on a Google Notes document somewhere, and then go through and try to extract bullet points out of it so that you can use that to put on a resume to make your resume look even more fly, because I promise you, you can use that experience to level up in IT.